watching Alaska's news source.
Good evening, everyone. Having turned the calendar from March to April, Alaskans look forward to longer daylight hours and hopefully melting snow piles.
Now, that melting brings attention to spring breakup season and the potential for river flooding. Joe Bartosik is here now with the latest outlook. Joe?
Well, Mike and Maria, the National Weather Service's Alaska Pacific River Forecast Center has issued its third outlook for the upcoming breakup season. Based off of the deep snowpack this winter, much of the state still has an above-average potential for ice jam and river flooding. With less than a month to go until river ice breakup really begins, concern is growing across interior parts of the state. Hydrologists and forecasters with the National Weather Service are focusing on the upper Yukon area for the greatest risk of flooding this year.
It is a fairly robust snowpack, for like the Yukon drainages, for the upper Kuskokwim, for a lot of the sites draining the Alaska Range and into the brooks.
But it's not just snowpack that's a critical factor, but also temperatures.
We're going to be looking very carefully at the temperatures the end of April, into early May, because that's going to be sort of that critical point where we're going to be very concerned if we snap from a cold regime to a warm regime very quickly.
That would mean rapid snowmelt and ice breaking up into large chunks, causing big ice jams, as was the case in the spring of 2009 when an ice jam 10 miles downstream of Eagle sent large ice chunks and floodwaters surging through the small eastern Alaskan village on the Yukon River. Much of Eagle suffered catastrophic flooding and structural damage. Chief Karma Olvey is paying very close attention this year because of how the river froze.
The river froze and then it raised quite a bit and got pretty high, and then it froze again. It froze again like that. So we're not really sure if then it dropped after.
Even though much of the town has since relocated to higher ground, Chief Olvey still has concerns for the safety of the village residents and especially the elders.
The road will be cut off from the main. The city and the village will be cut off from each other if the road floods down on the low areas. And so the airport is actually in town and the clinic is up here. So in case of an emergency or we need to medevac a patient, that's very difficult to cross that area. We have to use the back trails.
And for areas farther downstream in the lower Yukon and Kuskokwim deltas, where the snowpack is not as high, forecasters go back to the temperature wildcard.
Things in the interior are pretty cold for right now. And the climate predictions have us being colder through the middle of the month. And that just makes us a little bit more concerned from a flood risk perspective, because we're going to be holding on to that snowpack a lot longer.
So regardless of how fast or how slow the snow melts, the ice breaks, and the rivers rise, now is the time to start getting prepared and looking at those emergency evacuation plans. Updated outlooks are issued weekly through breakup season by the National Weather Service, and your Alaska Weather Source team will continue to monitor those outlooks as well as any river flood warnings that occur in order to help you and your family stay prepared and safe.
All right, Joe, thanks for the update.